was just to iron out and get everything sorted, and so we knew where we all stood and what the plan of action was for paying back the money.
It was a very tense meeting. Kirk was sitting to my right at a boardroom table. Iris was sitting to my left. I had an increasing sense that this relationship was much more than I had ever construed, and that it had huge consequences for all concerned. And it wasn't until some time later that I understood, first of all, who the donors were, the significance of who the donors were, and the implications for that money in personal terms.
Spotlight can reveal the names of those two donors, who between them gave £50,000 to Iris Robinson. The first was Fred Fraser, now deceased, for many years the biggest name in house building in Northern Ireland, particularly in Castlereagh, where he turned huge swathes of green into bricks and mortar. The 79-year-old died in August 2008, just weeks after he'd written out a cheque for £25,000 at Iris Robinson's request. The other contributor was this man, Ken Campbell, a well-known property developer.
How was she able to approach two people and just ask for £25,000 from each of them to help some young guy in business?
So 25,000, in some senses, would have seemed like nothing to them. It might have been seen as social responsibility. Maybe she was playing on that agenda in procuring that money.
Whatever their motivation had been in giving the MP the money, Iris Robinson was now desperate to retrieve it from Kirk McCambly, and she had a plan. Kirk McCambly was to pay back the remaining £45,000 from the money she'd given him. She wanted two cheques, the first made out to the name of Iris Robinson, the second in the name of the Light and Life Church in Dundonald. That's Iris Robinson's own church, whose pastor happens to be Peter Robinson's sister. And Iris Robinson was also hoping to use at least £20,000 to pay off her own debts. The first cheque was due on Christmas Eve 2008, when she sent this text to Selwyn Black.
I need the cheque made out not in the name of the church, but to my name. Kirk needs to know this is now clearing my debts, run up in helping him. The second one will be for £25,000 for the church. This will need to be made clear.
Selwyn Black, who was supposed to be working as her political advisor, paid for from the public purse, spent that Christmas Eve toing and froing between Iris Robinson and Kirk McCambly, trying to sort out the repayment of this money, but without success. Kirk McCambly was planning to raise the money by selling off a half share of the cafe to a friend for £40,000, but this was taking longer than anticipated. Iris Robinson would have an anxious wait for news in her family's apartment near Orlando, Florida, where the first couple spent that new year. From there, she forwarded her bank details and repeated the instruction that the monies should be split two ways.
£25,000 Light and Life Free Methodist Church Dundonald and other to me.
By this stage, Selwyn Black was very concerned about the involvement of the church in her finances. "Where is God in all of this?" he texted. Iris Robinson sent a text back from America and revealed the basis on which she had received the money from her developer friends.
This is just to allay any concerns. Money given to me and the promise of paying back one of them. The other didn't have the same condition placed on it. When given to Kirk, he wept and wanted to share 50-50. I said no, I wanted nothing. At that particular time, he was a young man. I wanted to help because Billy couldn't.
That's his father.
That's his father, and had so much wanted to. I agreed that 1/3 of the profit each month to go to the church as a gesture of giving something back. I never intended this to be a buy-off to God. It was an honest and honourable decision. I will be paying back all the monies to contributor A, who I now understand is Ken Campbell. Contributor B is now deceased.
That's Fred Fraser.
That's Fred Fraser, and was not to be paid back. I had intended to release £1,000 per month to church, as well as using it to clear the massive debt incurred by me over past year.
This extraordinary text established that Iris Robinson regarded the money as a gift to her. It was her money. Until the relationship with Kirk McCambly broke down, she wanted him to have it. After the breakdown, she decided she wanted it back. But there's a problem here for Iris Robinson. She was legally obliged to declare the £50,000 she'd received from the two developers, whether it came as a loan or a gift. We have checked Iris Robinson's declarations of interest. You can do this online for the Assembly and for Parliament, and there is no sign of any such declaration. She has failed to declare the money. In taking this money, Iris Robinson damages her ability to be seen to be able to do her job in a fair and impartial manner. This is about the integrity and transparency of the democratic system. In fact, Iris Robinson went out of her way to use her influence to help Ken Campbell that very summer. We have proof that she lobbied on behalf of one of the developers' building schemes in Newton Ards, even as she was looking for £25,000 from him. This is a copy of one letter she sent that summer, on Westminster-headed paper. Peter Robinson, for one, knew that his wife should not take money in such circumstances. And when he found out about her financial dealings, he wanted the money paid back. So back in Florida, at that holiday period, tactics changed. Suddenly, according to Iris Robinson herself, a decision was reached to send all the money back to where it came from. Selwyn Black was contacted by text message.
Just wanting to clarify, the monies are going back to the rightful sponsors and the church is not benefiting at all. Leaving me to pay the sponsors if I hadn't decided, along with Peter, to make a clean break and give the monies to them instead of church.
The First Minister's role was already plain to Selwyn Black through phone conversations that week.
I remember going to my conservatory at home to take those calls to try and separate that business from what was going on in family life.
So you were getting calls at home from Peter Robinson?
Not from Peter directly. Peter was on Iris's arm, cueing Iris as to what to say in two of those conversations.
How do you know that?
Oh, because I could hear him in the background. No, that's not the way things are going to happen. And the conversation was being very much directed. It was certainly he taking charge behind the scenes as to how those monies were going to be returned to two people who were very evidently his friends, as well as, of course, Iris's.
As far as the Robinsons were concerned, it was the job of Selwyn Black to make sure the money was returned, and quickly. He began liaising with Kirk McCambly and others, including a Fraser Company accountant.
He remembered the day very well because he had brought the checkbook to Mr. Fraser and the cheque was paid over, and his understanding was very clearly that that money was a gift, and he didn't expect that money to be returned to Mr. Fraser's estate.
As each day went by, Selwyn Black felt increasingly compromised. His job description hadn't mentioned being the Robinsons' fixer. According to one of Iris Robinson's texts, the First Minister himself wanted to keep a distance from what was going on.
Selwyn, based on discussion, Peter has decided not to be involved in handing over item. Just have solicitors